Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Divorce is very difficult. If you think it was difficult to be married and that's why you divorced, if you have children, it's not easy to be divorced. Nonetheless, we will help you deal with the difficulty of going through divorce by learning what Allah Almighty has ordained. So Allah speaks about it in the Quran that when you have a marriage and it is struggling, you need to give it your best. You need to try to resolve the matters between the two of you in a fair way, understanding that it's a give and take. You need to be lenient upon one another, not just one party being lenient, but both being kind towards each other and considerate of each other. If you cannot solve the problem between the two of you, you involve parties from either side, let them get together, try to solve the matters. If the matters are not being resolved, as a last resort, you may go through a divorce. That divorce is something very sacred in the sense that you can't play with it. You can't joke about it. If you joke about it, it occurs. If you play with it, it still occurs. So remember, don't joke about divorce ever. Don't ever, as a Muslim, just blurt out talaq thrice or I divorce you thrice and then come trying to understand what exactly did I do. I always say it's like shooting someone with live rounds and then coming to say, what did I just do? I didn't know that the trigger would actually result in a bullet coming out. Silly, isn't it? But Allah Almighty tells us that you will have to fulfill the rights of your exes, especially when you have had children. When you don't have children, it's a smaller right. Number one, do not mudsling. Don't speak bad about one another. The world doesn't need to know your whole story because you're going to badmouth someone. It could have been that shaitan came in and didn't allow you to get on with each other, and therefore the worst of you was apparent. And the goodness is never spoken about. You ended up not getting along, you ended up divorcing, but you're not supposed to be talking bad about one another. Look, we didn't get along. If someone specific comes to you and says, I'm interested in marrying your ex, can you tell me what happened? In brief, you're allowed to make mention of some of the difficulties. You are, because they need to know. But the general public doesn't need to know. So remember, if you want to deal with the difficulty of divorce, guard your tongue. Watch what you say about your ex.